When I was in my teens, I was actually recruited to an extremist organization, and they were really good at recruiting people young and vulnerable. And after I left, I realized if they were marketing towards vulnerable people and pulling them towards dangerous ideologies, how could we market positive? How could we help vulnerable young people and the wider community to give them more prospects? So we developed a methodology that directly challenges the tactics used by a lot of hate groups, extreme groups, criminal groups, called Find, Connect, Amplify. And this is where we find groups on the ground that are building positive connections, helping vulnerable people, young people, refugees, and we connect them to one another, to wider communities and statutory partners. Then we are amplifying that positive work, which creates this protection around the community so people who are vulnerable can find support and help. So I first piloted the Find, Connect, Amplify model in Barnet, which is where I live. From the back of the success of the pilot, we were able to secure 2 years of funding from the Bringing People Together Fund, where we were able to employ 3 more connectors in Glasgow, Manchester and Lewisham. And the beauty of this was that they're from the community already. So they're already doing this work. They're already trusted. We were able to give them the resources they needed to amplify positive voices in their community. It's a massive success, and we just want to continue this.
I'm Lewisham born and bred, so it's just nice to be able to give back to my own hometown and my own community, and that's what attracted me to the job, because I just want to make Lewisham thrive. And one of the first things that I done was go back to the people that made a difference in my childhood, which is Millwall. Millwall was actually one of the community centres that changed my life and the path that I probably would have gone down, because it was heavily gang influence in the area. So we really built up a partnership and started the Second Chance Academy. Through Millwall's connections, I then connected with the job centre. This is how the job fairs now come around. From that, I've had different connections. Hattie's connected me with the Met Police, which I've done a speech at and spoke to them about the problems in Lewisham, how we're counteracting those through Groundswell and through the events that we're doing, where we're connecting community organisations with individuals and doing signposting. And it wouldn't be possible without those connections that we have with people, not only with community organisations, but with people that are saying, oh, I need help. I don't really know what I'm doing in my life, especially as a kid. I've missed my college deadline. Great, here you go, Second Chance Academy at Millwall. You can do that. Well, I've also had a dinner where I've connected the youth ambassador, connected them with a rehab centre here in Deptford, who are a charity that house 25 men who have drug addictions or gambling addicts. That they were all connected, all exchanged numbers, and now they're doing their own things and started their own relationship. And that's because I was able to bring them together and be like, look, we're all on the same page here. We all want to help people in Lewisham. Let's come together and do something about it.
One of our challenges was to take on an employment job fair, but we didn't have the reach or the scope to get out into the community. We were able, through SOCS and our work at the Groundswell Project, to identify numerous organisations and participants who this programme would benefit, but also who could come and support on the day. The outcome of that was an unbelievable event, the largest job fair of its kind in Southwark, which saw us have 500 participants attend and also get wraparound support, which led to 48% achieving positive outcomes, which is either job offer or job interview.
So with the connector role and having the background that I have, growing up in Hume, I've seen and understand about all the different groups, ways that we can all connect and work and share what is in and around our living environment. And of course, some of them have cultural heritage, so it's understanding those nuances about how to meet them in the first place, and then obviously show them different opportunities that are available. I think with young people not having different opportunities or access, especially if they're BME or from historically deprived backgrounds, then access and opportunities, they're there, but maybe not signposted. For me, more recently, been bringing youth groups together, trying to create initiatives, which means that different groups can now meet in community spaces where they may not have met, collaborative working to share resources, and creating opportunities and access. Manchester being so diverse, there sometimes has been a clash because of lack of community spaces. But with the role, I've been able to find more community spaces, make sure that these individuals and groups can then work in these spaces and obviously meet and link up. And that means that they are, of course, less isolated, less marginalised and less vulnerable.
We need roles that Groundswell provide. We need community connectors. We need people that are showcasing what smaller community groups are doing, putting people in touch with each other, coming down to sessions, doing meets and greets and bringing groups together. Over the last year and a bit, I've been involved with a project called Piecemeal, which is a community meal service. And I'm also involved in the Naya Choir. And both of them projects, Groundswell has helped us by spreading the news, bringing new members to our groups and putting us in touch with other organisations that have been able to help us with some support and resources. The more organisations that are like Groundswell that are doing infrastructure, organisation and actually supporting the smaller groups out there that don't have capacity, the better.
So one of the key roles in with the Groundswell Project is to help create safe spaces, because if somebody doesn't get a chance to be heard, it can create problems within themselves, within obviously the community. And that's not what we want. We want to have a place where somebody feels safe to talk about how they're feeling, what their issues are, what their ideas are, and how we've created that is working with the key organisations such as Urban Community Project, the BKL, the British Kabaddi League, and the Super League. So, for example, the Super League brought in 20 teams in total, well over about 100 people coming together from different nationalities, Albanians to Somalians, Sudanese, Pakistani, Afghani, Kurdish, Indian, Sri Lankan, White Scottish, Polish. We know there's a lot of people that come to us individually and ask for support. So we thought, let's bring everybody together and use sport as a vehicle, get everybody to connect. And then from there, you find out kind of other issues that are going on. The feedback we've got from the people taking part today was said very clearly, I would never have talked to this person, I would never have played with this person, I wouldn't have given them the time of day. But you can see some of that toxicity coming out because football and sport brings that out.
How have you found it playing teams from different backgrounds, cultures?
Well, it's been very, very, very difficult sometimes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different, always say, characters.
Yep.
Different types of people, different sort of anger issues as well. But good challenge. Excited to keep going.
So we're changing the status quo. At the moment, groups that are working with vulnerable people often don't get the support that they need, so they are isolated. Statutory partners are working in silos, and residents who often want to help their local community don't know where to turn. So if we come in with our methodology, we're helping those groups reach wider range of people. We're helping residents who need that support to get the support. We're managing to put this onto the radar of statutory partners and councils who also have an obligation to the community. And you have local residents feeling like they are giving back their time and their energies to organisations that they may want to volunteer with. The money we're applying for is to sustain the connectors that are already doing fantastic work. They have become the lifeline of the communities that they work in, so that they can go even deeper into the communities that they're supporting. It will also go into expanding this methodology in other cities that are experiencing deprivation and problematic situations, societal, environmental as well. So our project is completely in line with the key criteria of the Lottery Project, to bring people together from different backgrounds so that they can get to know one another, to dispel myths and building an infrastructure that helps vulnerable people and those from disenfranchised backgrounds to access services and support that they need to better their lives.
With expanding the programme with more resource, we hope to evaluate in more detail how to cope with some of the key challenges that connectors are facing. For example, how to market an event, how to engage statutory partners who are quite challenging to engage with. And for example, how can community groups get more traction for their events? So they're not spending loads of energy and then only a few people are showing up. And these are things that we feel that we will have more resource to share, so that when new community connectors come in, they will have a much better guide about how to implement better strategies. Another key thing that we're really hoping to learn is how to get more women engaged in the community, especially from those hard to reach groups where there is currently quite a patriarchal approach. And then looking at a formula to help when it comes to creating events where we've got people from different backgrounds and different age groups enjoying sharing the same space together. The more work that we do across the UK, the more learning we get about what works, what doesn't work. We wish to share that with the wider community so that other people that want to create stronger communities can learn from our own experience. The key obvious impact of this learning is that we're going to have less people falling through the net and stronger communities. Our learning is going to help us do this in a scalable way that may help the goal of having really successful connectors in all parts of the UK. Not only that, we're also really keen to share learnings about how to collaborate on a very hyper-local level with statutory partners, but also on a wider level. So our community connectors, the more and more learnings that they're gaining, they can be sharing that amongst the wider connector community. We're also constantly learning how technology can help our efforts across social media, how to advertise events, how to connect people via their own forms of communication that they're needing, because different groups have different means of communicating. And then there's also a final big learning that we're looking to really change the way that the people that we're trying to help within the communities actually feel about their communities. So the users of those local services can then develop the skills to actually take ownership of those services and become the providers themselves of those services.
Our aim is to ensure that the impact of our work has longevity for generations to come, has a long-lasting impact on stopping discrimination, health inequalities, a long-lasting impact on employability skills and equality that then goes into the next generation. We can eventually create this fantastic environment where people feel they belong, a place where people feel that they have equal opportunities, a place where people don't feel discriminated against.